If Bugatti made an electric sustainable car?
I'll be there. I would be signing up right now. I'll put my name on that list.
Hello everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Property Convos. Now today I'm really excited to be in the virtual car with Faith from the Property Hustle. How are you doing, Faith?
I'm very well, thanks, Balaji. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to have you on the show actually, because I remember I've been seeing your posts pop up on my feed so much, and I'm like, I have to get out of Faith. And I'm finally so glad that you're in the car today. So yeah, I'm glad we made it happen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man. How are you getting on? How's your day? How's your week been?
Day's been okay. Week's been all right. I mean, it's only Tuesday, so
yeah, that's true actually. Yeah.
Still very much start of the week. But I've been.
You've just made me depressed. It's not Friday yet. Oh.
Not Friday yet. Although every day is a Friday for me at the moment because I'm on furlough.
Oh, okay. Every day's a party.
Yeah, but I was looking at a development deal today, doing an appraisal.
Right.
With a mentee of mine, and so it's a regular day in Faith World.
Regular day, regular hustle. Yeah. In the life of a property hustler. Cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for anybody who doesn't know, what do you do, and how did you sort of get into what you're doing right now? Yeah. And how long have you been doing it?
Oh God. I think I hope quite a few people might know me already, so I hope I'm not boring anyone with the repeat of my story. But I've been.
It would never be a bore.
I've been in property about 8 years now, doing various different roles. I've been an estate agent. I've done valuation, done investment development, and I'm a chartered surveyor. So my day job is I work as a commercial surveyor. I buy and sell office buildings in the City of London. So your big kind of 100 million plus buildings, both for investment and development purposes. So that's kind of like my day job. I've been personally investing and building my property portfolio for the past few years. I invest in Nottingham, a particular area in Nottingham, and then I also look for development deals down in South London. And then when I'm not busy doing that, I'm busy sort of mentoring and helping other people get into property and onto the property.
That's so cool. There's a lot to unpack there, but I guess the first question is, what is it that made you get into property? Because I guess you started in property at a young age, right? So how did you have the impetus, or like what made you just think, okay, I'm going to do property now?
Well, I used to watch a lot of property shows when I was younger, and I think that was I'm the last of 11 siblings. Like, I've got a big family. I'm part of a family, and I was the youngest, and my siblings are considerably older than me, so I used to hang out with my older brothers and sisters, particularly my sisters, and would watch whatever they were watching. So whilst all my friends were watching like your typical teenage shows or whatever, I was busy watching Homes Under the Hammer, location, like all those kind of things. I just like.
What was it like in school when people were talking about, I don't know, Buffy, and you're like, oh yeah,
Do you know what? I watched Buffy. I'm not gonna lie. I made the time to watch Buffy, and watch some of the other like popular culture shows and stuff. So yeah, no, I was up to speed.
Okay,
but,
good.
Like half terms and stuff, I would love half term because 10 a.m. I'll be in front of the TV watching Homes on the Hammer. Which I was probably a bit ahead of my time, but that's kind of what opened my eyes to property as a potential investment vehicle, and coming from the background that I came from. So I was born in Uganda, came over here as a refugee, and living in a council flat and going to a school where the majority of my peers were from very well off backgrounds. I kind of had this aspiration to achieve more. Like, my mum has done an amazing job in raising us single-handedly, and now I kind of I've always wanted to be able to leave a bit of a legacy, create generational wealth and that kind of stuff. And property has just always been a passion of mine, particularly because you're providing at the main core of it, you're providing, homes, housing, infrastructure, roofs over people's heads. And that's kind of what's always been me. And that's been my passion. Hence why I was like, right, I need to go into this as a career.
Yeah.
And that's when I Googled careers in property, came across LinkedIn, because at the time when I was younger, I didn't clock that I could be those people on Homes on the Hammer, that I could be invested in, because of the way my money mindset was. I came from a poor background, so I thought, I'm never going to be able to get that kind of money.
Right.
So let me at least work in the necessary field. So that's how I came across commercial surveying. But it wasn't long before I realised, actually, I can do this.
You could do this. Yeah.
And that's when I started looking to invest myself.
That's awesome. That's so amazing how, because even though on the one hand you could say maybe there was like a limiting belief that we all have that we can't, make money like the property people do, but you still almost intuitively gravitated towards the career, right? So you kind of knew somehow, I need to be around people that are doing it and get familiar with the industry, and then I guess you made a go of it. And how has it been for you, right? So you said 8 years. Well, how would you say the journey has been?
It's been how would I say it's been? It's been very interesting. There've been a lot of testing times. So I started off, my first ever property job was I was an estate agent. So basically, when I realised that I wanted to go into surveying, and I realised that in order to get some of the sort of commercial firms, to get internships with them, you need to have some form of property experience. Yeah. So I kind of put together a CV and covering letter and just emailed all of the local estate agents in my university town. So I was living in Nottingham. And I think I emailed 30 plus, and one estate agent came back to me. And so I was basically happy to work for free. I was like, I just want to get my foot in the door. Yeah. So I worked with them. I rearranged my whole university schedule to be able to work, to have Tuesday day completely free. And I went in and I worked as a sales assistant on their residential sales team. It was just me and the director. And we do things and so they were originally a lettings business, and they were growing their sales business. So they had brought that in. And so we did things like going around touting. We'd put letters through people's doors, saying, we're open for business, we're going to be selling. So really grassroots type, trying to build up a sales business. So through that, I got my kind of understanding for the residential sales market. And then I actually interned for a serviced office company, a startup service office company. At the time, I had no idea about serviced offices or that.
Right. Yeah.
But that was really good as well, because that kind of got me interested in or understanding the commercial side of things. Yeah. I then got on to and was successful in making the Savills internship, summer internship. So I worked with them. That was back in 2013. I was in their commercial development team. And then I did my year abroad, and I spent some time in China. And I actually did an internship in China for an architectural firm.
Do you speak a Chinese language?
Yeah, I speak Mandarin.
Oh, tell me something in Mandarin.
Oh my God, you're desperate now.
Ni hao? No, okay.
Ni hao ma?
Sorry, that was a digression.
That's about it now. It's been what can I say? 我会说汉语，我学了汉语在 Nottingham 大学。
What did you just say?
I can speak Chinese, and I learned Chinese at Nottingham Uni.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, usually, I don't drink anymore, but back when I used to drink, the Chinese would start flowing.
Okay.
when I had a bit of alcohol in me, I'd be on nights out and I'd always get a Chinese at the end of the night, and I'd go in and I'd start speaking to the Chinese like people in Mandarin. They'd be like, oh,
Ordering the special thing that's not on the menu, like give me the
they'd be like,
special.
oh my god, like your pronunciation, you're so good.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I absolutely loved my time in China. Well, at first I didn't, but I grew to love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I came back and I did various different graduate applications, like for the various kind of graduate schemes.
Yeah.
And how I was able to get into JLL, and in JLL I kind of rotated around the business quite a bit.
Yeah.
Valuations, development. I'm now kind of in investment. So yeah, it's been up and down. I did a part-time master's in real estate finance and investment whilst studying to become a chartered surveyor whilst working full-time. So it was tough, but in amongst all of that, I still managed to get my investment property and do some rent to rents as well. So
that is pretty impressive, because like from what you've just described, you've got almost really a depth of experience like across the whole sort of span of the property ecosystem. So yeah, like you've really studied your craft. That's impressive, because I know there's people that, you know, are doing property or don't have half of that experience. I know me in particular, but I know a lot of people will be impressed by that rap sheet. So yeah, I didn't know that at all. Well done.
I think to highlight, for anyone that is listening to this and doesn't have an experience or background in property, the fact that there are people out there with, you know, not as much experience and are doing successfully and doing really well shouldn't stop people from getting into it. If you're passionate about it, and if you can take the time to learn and invest in getting yourself a mentor or going on certain training courses, you can learn it and you can execute it really well. So I don't want to deter people from getting into property.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because I was going to sort of touch on this a bit later, but since we're on it now, like what would you say from your perspective it takes, you know, to make it in property? And I guess a slight segue to that is, so I have a lot of conversations with my friends who, when I'd say, you know, I'm into property, their mindset is very traditional in the sense of, okay, you've got to get a mortgage, you've got to do this, you've got to like have the very traditional sort of steps. Whereas there's many things in property that you can do. I mean, you just mentioned rent to rent. There's other things. Like, how would you describe, you know, the world of property investment and how you can get into it to I don't want to call them a noob, because that is derogatory, but like somebody who's not into property?
I think the main thing that you're going to need is perseverance, I'd say. You've got, and that's why I say it's so important to have a real motivation as to why you want to get into it. If you're just getting into it to make money, maybe you can be motivated by money, I don't know. But for me, I think your motivation needs to really be deep rooted, then carry you through, because there's going to be days where, you know, you make offers and offers keep falling through, or you'll spend money, you know, getting your offer is accepted, you spend money on a solicitor, spend money on a broker, and then the deal falls through, or someone offers more and then you've lost out on that and you've lost money because you can't then get that back. And you've got to have that kind of persevering attitude to say, okay, there's going to be bad days, but keep pushing through. What strategy you're doing, whether it's, you know, your rent to rent strategies or your huge developments, you've just got to have that personality about you, that kind of, you keep going even through the rough times.
Right. Awesome. And what was the thing that sort of kept you in the game then? So what's your deep rooting that kind of keeps you going?
For me, it's always been building generational wealth. I want to get to a point where I know that, you know, everything that I do in my lifetime right now, I might not see or reap the benefits of it, but I'm doing this for generations to come in terms of the legacy that I leave for my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids. I want them to, you know, almost not have to work, because they can live off of, you know, the income or the property business. Because when you look at the really kind of super rich in this world, all of them in some way or shape or form own property, whether it's land, whether it's developments, whether it's hotels, like, and they're
Yeah.
able to pass that on to generations to come. And then that's how you create old money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the mentality that I have when I'm buying anything. You know, I don't make a lot of money off of the investments that I make. A lot of
Yeah.
it is the money is put back into the business, you know, or
Yeah.
put into, you know, a high interest savings account. And I just basically try and keep building, keep building, keep building. I still live very frugally.
Yeah. And that's really important, because I think a lot of people do get into things, whether it's property or other sort of ventures, because it's like, oh, I want to make loads of money and I want to make it quickly. But, you know, from what you've just described, and what a lot of people who are very successful, you know, in this thing will really teach you, it's a long term, you know. There's people who refer to it as slow money, you know, so you have to kind of, yeah, like stay in the game and make it sort of long term. Cool. So could you tell me about a project that you've done? Let's say a project that you've done that like you were really, really proud of, like really, really, like this one, I nailed it.
Well, there's a lot of projects that I've done that I look back now and I think, oh my gosh, like I actually did that.
Yeah.
I think probably my proudest moment was my first ever purchase. That was, I had been looking for about maybe a few months, and I've been offering on certain properties, getting my offer rejected. I actually had one property that an offer had been accepted, and then when I got my building surveyor to go around and take a look, he was like, actually, it's going to cost a lot of work to do this place up. And I had to chip the price, and that offer then fell through. So eventually when I got this offer and I was like, oh my God, it's here, like, you know, it's tangible. At the time, I didn't actually have all of the funds readily available to buy it, but I had enough to get my foot through the door, in terms of sort of proof of funds and getting my mortgage in principle. And the process took almost like 6 months. I feel like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong with that purchase. You know, when the bank's valuer went out to value the property, they found damp in the property, and they said, well, we're not going to. The lender was like, we're not going to lend to you if there's still damp. You have to sort that out. So then it was a conversation between my solicitor and the seller's solicitor to say, okay, you know, who's going to fix this damp? You know, technically you're the owner, so you fix it, or if you want me to fix it, we'll have to chip the price.
The price, to
reflect how much I spend on remediating the damp. And so the seller was like, yeah, happy to do that. So I paid and got the damp remediated, and then the damp proof course needed another 4 weeks.
Wow.
Basically set in, so then the lender could come back and do the revaluation. And then just when we thought everything was going, you know, smoothly, then the seller's bank account got hacked. I don't know. At the time,
sounds a bit fishy.
But like since then, I've heard a lot of stories of people saying that their accounts have been hacked to try and delay the process. But anyway, so his account got hacked. He had to sort that out. That took a few more weeks. And when all was said and done, it took, I think in total, from having my offer accepted to actually completing and collecting the keys, it was about 6 months. So I had to stay motivated throughout that whole period. But at the same time, you're anxious throughout the whole period as well, because with exchange contracts, you don't technically own the property. So I was like concerned that I would lose money again and all this kind of stuff. But I'm glad it just, you know, got done. And then I got it refurbed within like 5 days. Let out within 7 days. So
how did you do that? What was involved there?
Well, the property itself didn't need too much work. So it was just like a light sort of paint job throughout. I put new floors in the kitchen and the bathroom. And then whilst it was being renovated, I actually had an advert up already. So I had it up on Open Rent, and I was advertising it for renting. So I had people contacting me. So I was arranging viewings for the day after the decorator said they'd be finished. So the
Yeah.
decorator was finished. The next day I went up, I did, I think about 6 viewings, and I think it was the second to last person said to me, I'm not leaving until you give me, until I get this property. Like, he was that desperate to secure the property. So we ended
Wow.
up being there and then. And I think he paid like 3 months up front.
Wow.
So yeah, I got it. And ever since then, this is a testament to knowing your area and understanding, you know, what areas are good for rental, because the property has never been vacant, you know, for more
And
than
how many years is that?
3 years, 3.5
It's
years.
good. That's wow. Yeah.
I had 3 different tenants. So every time the tenant has let me know that they're going to vacate, I've literally just put it back on the market again, sort of 2 weeks before they leave. And then it's just been let out almost immediately. So, you know, touch wood, it continues to be that way. Yeah, so that I'd say that's my proudest moment.
And that's amazing, because that was like your sort of first investment property.
Yeah. Everyone
Always
remembers
remember your
that.
first. Yeah. Oh. So on the flip side, we have to go there. What is your worst?
Well, I'm actually currently living through my worst, I'd say. Yeah.
So the wound is still open, is it? Okay.
Very much still open. I invested in a serviced accommodation unit literally a few days before lockdown, but obviously we didn't know lockdown was going to be lockdown, and there was no telling like how bad the serviced accommodation market was going to be hit. But yeah, so I invested. It's a hands-off investment. So I'm like the JV partner, so I put in the finance, and then the partner basically manages it. And literally since investing, the property has not made any money, and it's been 4 months. So yeah, not great. But you kind of, you know.
Do you have a plan for it? Is there like a plan to do something with it, or just kind of
the intention is to try and get it let out. So we've been looking at trying to do a slightly longer let or long-term let. We managed to get half rent from the landlord for 3 months. Like we're doing as much as we can, but it's just the market at the moment is just not. You know, it's a central London property, which is purely basically like the market for it is tourists. So there wasn't even like, you couldn't even like flip onto, because a lot of people in the service accommodation business have kind of changed their tenant, you know, target tenants, and have gone from sort of tourism to like contractors, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. But this particular property, it's a 1-bed. It's very much it's not
it's a
great.
bit niche, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is what it is. I've made the investment. The intention is, because it's over such a long period of time, over like 3 years.
You can make it back, right?
Yeah, that is the intention. So fingers crossed. We might not make it back, but I guess that's the kind of, you know, if you're going into property, that is the risk you take.
This is the reality, highs and lows, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, as you know, well, actually, no. Talk to me a bit about mentoring, because I've spoken to a few people. Not everybody has a mentoring course, but for those that do, I'm always interested in, how did you make the decision to like be a mentor, and how do you find sort of mentoring?
Well, for as long as I can remember, I have been mentoring in some capacity. When I was younger, it was mentoring, you know, other kids. I've been a tutor for a very long time, you know, tutoring maths, English, science, 11+ exams, all of that kind of stuff. And then what I found was, when I started the Property Hustle Facebook page and YouTube channel and all of that, I had a lot of my friends and family coming to me asking, you know, how can I get into property? What do I need to do? So without even really thinking about it, I was mentoring and helping and supporting other people. And then someone basically said to me, you know, what you're giving and what you're providing is actually great value and good content. Like, you should certainly charge for your services.
Absolutely,
And that's when I basically thought, actually, let me package this up and put it into a structured program to help. Specifically, I help people who are very much in the beginning of their investment journey. My clients or mentees to date have been people who are, I only really like to work with people who are ready to invest in themselves and ready to like get moving, because
Yeah.
my mentor program, it's not cheap, but it's not the most expensive either.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll
I've,
feel it, but yeah.
yeah, I've priced it in a way that, you know, I want whoever's coming on board with me to take it seriously and to get their money's worth. And it's only 8 weeks, but it's packed full of all the information you're going to need to get yourself started. If you know what strategy you want to do, that's usually quite helpful, because then I can tailor it. But if you don't know, it's also great as well, because I kind of introduce you to the various different, you know, whether it's cash flow strategies or, you know, capital appreciation type strategies. We look at how to negotiate with landlords, making offers, you know, going on viewings. I think some people get really nervous going on property viewings, you know, how to kind of combat that fear, what to look out for, what are the pitfalls, you know, how to, if you do have, how to seek funding, how to raise finance, you know, with investors and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like it's all inclusive. So yeah, if anybody wants to get involved or want to know more, they can hit me up on Instagram at the property hustle.
Absolutely. No, so definitely at the end we'll get all of your socials, you know, make sure that people get to hear them and see them. But you spoke on fears, right? So one of the things, especially when I started out, there was this kind of fear of, and it wasn't even so much the fear of doing something new, because I'm used to doing new things, but it was more, you know, like when you're having a conversation with a new type of person and you just don't know, even though you have a script, so let's say an estate agent or like a vendor, and like, you're not, I don't know, there's this kind of like fear of, what if I don't say the right thing, or what if the person says no, or like, I'm over that fear now, but how do you kind of get over it, or how do you sort of advise people to get over the fear of talking to like other external people in the business, like vendors or investors or similar sellers?
I think the first thing to understand is you will get it wrong.
Right.
You will get it wrong. You know, whether it's the first time, whether it's the fifth time, you're going to get it wrong. You know, you might get terminology wrong. You might get information wrong. Like you might misunderstand what someone is trying to do, and you might try and like be forcing your, you know, input or your opinion onto something. Until you actually get out there and get started, you're never going to know. So if you let that fear hold you back, you're never going to be able to combat it. So I think being comfortable in the uncomfortable is a good skill to have, or to generate. And you know, it's just all about essentially putting yourself out there. At the end of the day, property is a people business, you know, and talking to people, it doesn't take much to just have a conversation. You can be honest, you know, be as honest as possible with where you are at in your journey. You know, don't try and pretend that you know everything, because then you will trip up. Just be very honest. And if someone, you know, approaches you and says, I don't know, I've got this property I want to sell, you know, can you buy? You know, you can be honest and say, look, I haven't bought a property physically, but I know people, I've got networks, and I've got a connection of people that I can introduce you to. And just having those people that you can fall back on, and speak to and get advice from, is so important.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really great advice. I think the first thing you said actually just summarizes it, like, just be okay that you're going to get it wrong, you know, and then just keep going. I've heard another famous YouTube property person talk about like the go with no. I think there's a book that was recommended by this person, and I think to me that really resonated, because now when I'm making calls or whatever, literally, if I just get a no and, you know, I don't try and force it, just click. Funnily enough, recently when I was, I'm about to make an offer on one of the things that I've been looking at, and the way that I kind of got to that was the person said no initially. So the person said, "Oh no, I'm not interested." But so I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, I've got nothing to lose now. So I just like carried on talking to him, and kind of like asked him like why is he not interested, and kind of to find out what his challenge is and a bit more about himself. And I got to know that he was actually a landlord in Sweden, and he's struggling to manage the property here. And through kind of persevering, I was able to get so much information that was not kind of in the listing that I saw. So I kind of know how to make him an offer that maybe he might entertain. And he has now asked me for an offer as opposed to like me pushing for it, because I was just when you said that resonated with kind of what I'm kind of going through and pushing through at the moment. So
and what you've
amazing.
just said there is the perfect example of listening and understanding people's problems or pain points, and then trying to provide a solution, rather than just coming in and saying, I can do this for you, I can do that. Figure out what they want first and foremost, and then take it from there.
Absolutely, because what I'm learning about property more and more is it's a people business, and it's also kind of like we're in sales, but it's almost like the commodity that we are selling is, you touched on it earlier on this call, it's something that everybody or most people need, one or the other, like a place to stay or a place to own, or to manage your kind of like, it's like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're kind of dealing with a very core. So it's not as if I'm selling iPhones, or selling I'm trying to sell bags or watches, where the pitch is slightly different. This is more, you can really, I don't know, like you can really add value and change somebody's life, give somebody a home if they don't have it, and give somebody assurance and peace of mind if they're a landlord. Like I think it's a great business if you are a people person and you like to solve problems, and you don't have to be sort of seedy and trying to make money and all that kind of stuff. It's actually you're providing a service, but and that's the way that I see it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so as you know, this is supposed to be a bit of a car themed show. We're in a carpool, and I have to ask you the question: what is your favorite car and why? What's your dream car and why?
I mean, my dream car for as long as I can remember has been a Bugatti Veyron. I don't know why. I don't know, there's just something about it. I was just like, they just look so sleek and just like really sexy. But probably now, if I'd have to say a Tesla, right? Because the way
okay.
we're moving, we've got to obviously be sustainable, and
yeah.
we want to be sustainable but look sleek at the same time.
There you go.
Doing that really well.
What if Bugatti made an electric sustainable car?
I'll be there. I would be signing up right now. Put my name on that list. But yeah, so that's kind of my dream cars. But at the moment, I drive a little Ford Fiesta. Her name's Maria.
She's even got a name. Okay.
Yeah, man. Of course, you gotta have a name.
You have to name your car.
Yeah. Gets me from A to B. Like I've never been. To be honest, I'm not. The thing is, like, as much as I want a Bugatti Veyron, and if I was like getting a bike, I'd get a Kawasaki Ninja, and I always say that I'd love to have those things, but the reality is, if I had the money, I don't even think I'd get them. I'm that cheap. I'm like, I don't even want to spend money on like some of my clothes. I've owned them for years. Like, you need to shop, Faith. You need to get new clothes. And I'm like,
you did say you're frugal. Yeah. But okay, so on that, let's say you had, like money wasn't even an object. Like, what would be the thing that you would buy? Because at that point, and we're talking about generational wealth, we will get there. And let's even say, okay, by God's grace, you'll get it. But let's say if it's one of your kids that like the wealth has amassed so much, what if you were in their shoes? What would be that purchase that is like, I deserve this. I don't care. Just put it on the credit card or put it on the whatever.
For myself.
For yourself, yeah.
Maybe a nice grand piano.
Or to actually play, or to be like a feature piece in the house?
Yeah, to play on. And
But you play? Okay, cool.
yeah, I do. I'm just trying to think like what I actually want, because the things that I want are
You
not
have?
the
Or
things that you'd want. Like, so basically,
ah,
I always wanted to build a school in Uganda. I've got the
hmm,
land. I just need the basically the finances and know-how to build a school. I've always
yeah.
wanted to build an orphanage, and like, so if I had limitless amounts of money, best believe I'm
Yeah.
going to Uganda and I'm making an impact.
Well, there you go. We should have. I don't know why you didn't say that before. We should have been talking about that. So these are the important things, right? And this is kind of like you said before, the reason behind what you do things. Because yeah, like even so, talk to me a little bit about your vision for Uganda and like what you want to do, how you want to make an impact back home.
Well, my vision has always been to, so where I'm from, I was going to say it's a town, it's actually now officially been made a city by the Ugandan
Okay.
government. So
Yeah.
the city where I'm from in Uganda is called Gulu, it's like in the north.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been, over the years, it's been improving in terms of infrastructure, but what I would really like to see is just a bit more commercial awareness to the way things are being built and structures are being erected in the town.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to implement a rail system in
Mm.
Uganda. It doesn't currently exist. I'd love to get, you know, the railway going again. I just, yeah, bits and bobs here and there, schools, libraries, just like, you know, buildings that are going to help people.
Absolutely. That's
That's
amazing. This is really what it's about, man. That's so amazing. And yeah, I guess you're already making steps towards it. You said you've got your land and stuff, so no, man, props to you. Okay, so back to quickfire. Do you listen to music on Spotify or Apple?
Spotify.
Okay, and what's in your Spotify playlist right now? What are you listening to?
In the car on the way home, I was listening to a little Spanish playlist. I love my reggaeton.
Ah, nice. Hope it's not Kizomba.
Well, I do listen to Kizomba as well, but that's Portuguese.
Okay, okay.
I have a separate Kizomba playlist.
No, I'm joking. I like Kizomba. It's just I'm married, so I don't really dance to Kizomba. But
What?
so
Wait,
not with anyone else anyway.
I mean, I've been with my boyfriend over a year and a half, and I still dance Kizomba. I think
Okay.
this is the thing. I think people, well, again, I think it's about the understanding you have with your partner. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I still go carnival and walk up and do all of that kind of stuff. But my boyfriend gets it. He's Caribbean. He'll be whining on next girl as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of,
If there's an understanding.
there's an
Good.
understanding. Yeah, I love it. This
Um,
podcast has just gone wild.
it's
Hashtag wild.
we've got X-rated.
Awesome.
I'm not even going to edit it. But okay, cool. So, what like book are you reading, or would you highly recommend? So, yeah.
What book would I highly recommend? Um, I've read a lot of books in my time. I
Or
feel
what's the
like,
last book that you read then? Oh,
what was the last book I read? The E-Myth by
hmm.
Michael G. Herber, I think his name is.
Yeah.
The entrepreneur's myth. It just talks about the fact that when you go into business, a lot of people, you know, find that they're good at something and think, oh, I'm going to set up a business, but don't realize that actually when you're in business as yourself, you're not only the entrepreneur, but you're the technician and
Of
you're the
course.
manager as well. And
Yeah.
often people don't always have all three of those qualities, and
Hmm.
recognize what quality you have to then be able to outsource or bring in people that can cover the remaining qualities. So yeah, it was a really, really good book.
Absolutely. No, I'm learning that more and more about myself, the things I'm good at and the things that I'm not good at. But outsourcing is key. Okay. All right. So I should stop before we go like on completely different tangent that was not planned. What are your socials? I know we've gone through them before, but I just want you to say it so that everybody can really hear it and listen to it. And if you want somebody to get in touch with you and connect either for mentoring or to get involved in any of the projects that you're doing or just to follow you, how would you like them to engage with you?
Best way to reach me is to direct message me on Instagram. So my handle is at the property hustle, all one word. And then follow me on YouTube as well. I put out a lot of video content, informational videos on talking about my journey. I interview other property investors as well. Would love to get you on, Bolaji, like soon.
Let's book it on, definitely.
So yeah, YouTube, The Property Hustle, you'll find me. And I also have a Facebook page, The Property Hustle. So yeah, The Property Hustle across all platforms.
Awesome. Okay. Listen, thanks, Faith. This has been really, really an interesting conversation. I think people are going to get a lot of value on it. I've learned a lot more about you. I'm inspired, and I really hope that everything that you're setting out to achieve, that you do. But yeah, thanks again, and take it easy.
Thank you.